perhaps will throw a spanner into the works and help us digress into other issues. The editorial cartoon of The Nation, we'll just see it on the screens right now, perhaps hinting at, the responsibility and how it boils down in terms of the vision bearers and whatnot, because you mentioned cabinet secretaries, PSs are the vision bearers. So if we could have it on our screens right now. There we have it. You can indulge kindly. We have 2 cabinet secretaries, and I think this is all to do with the 5th cabinet meeting that was held by the president just this week, where reports emerged that, perhaps cabinet secretaries were rebuked over squabbles that have played out in their respective ministries. One of them, Moses Kuria, right there. As you can see, the cartoon illustration shows him biting his own foot, holding a paper written Sudan crisis, perhaps in reference to the tweet that he put out and perhaps withdrew later on in terms of quote-unquote bombing Khartoum. Of course, we saw the PS come out for Foreign Affairs and clear the air in terms of the government's stand in that whole issue. Equally, we have a gentleman rolling out a red carpet to a Canadian door right there that's written "No Jobs." And perhaps that's hinting to the CS for Foreign Affairs, Alfred Mutua, and that little issue that had to be cleared out in terms of the job opportunities and the links and whether it's jobs that are not there or the link that was not right. Anyway, kindly disregard. You can see that poster on the wall. So even as we talk about responsibility, gentlemen, what do you make of that particular cartoon? Osido, I'll start with you.
Thank you so much, Jesse. Some of these goofs, in my view, are not necessary. And to the level that they get to these kind of conversations within diplomatic corridors, in some quarters, cabinet secretaries would actually be asked to leave office. So, points to the question around 2 things. One is the induction process for cabinet secretaries and whether it is as thorough and vigorous as it's supposed to be. What are they taught, quote unquote? Of course, they are at that level where you might not teach them anything. Most of them have been there, done it, and walked out and then gotten back. But the question is there the openness to also want to learn so that you are able to do things effectively, support the vision bearer properly as a vision holder, and therefore be seen to be representing the president and the vision. And largely when you are out there is the people of Kenya. So that induction process and your willingness to be open-minded and to learn. And then secondly is, I don't think there is any wrong in saying no, or I will consult about it. So you don't have to be saying you want to play the good man for Kenya, even when you know that what you're saying is not probably the right thing or has diplomatic ramifications. In some of these jurisdictions, issues around jobs, particularly when we are talking about the global framework and questions around immigrants and etc. So they also have policies and laws that really protect and guard how even an individual gets into their country. So as a cabinet secretary, when you come and you're already talking about it and it's not properly verified, there is nothing wrong, in my view, about saying, I will consult about it, and then because that is not your domain, don't be the person to communicate it. There is someone in charge of labor. There is someone who is supposed to talk about agriculture. There is somebody who is supposed to talk about security and defense and national security issues. Just be an expert in your area, consult with your team, and largely because a number of times they also have people that accompany them in their entourage and in their teams. And we presume and expect that there are people who are qualified, competent, and are able to advise a cabinet secretary properly. So being slipped through a piece of paper just to correct the issue there and then does not get Kenya to where I think some of the cabinet secretaries are taking us to. So I think these goofs need apologies to Kenyans. The CSS need to apologize so that that image, the profile and the stature of the Republic of Kenya, what is called the Republic of Kenya. And so that when you're at the airport, people are coming to check with you, do you have more of these bundles? You give us some. We want to get to that level. And our cabinet secretaries are our first diplomatic cause when they're out there. And so we expect that they're able to represent us very well and effectively.
Kasim, briefly, your reaction to that?
This should not have happened. But I can also understand why it could happen again, because we have some CSS who have also been used to limelight, public limelight. And some things just don't go away immediately. You remember what happened even with the few months when Mheshimiwa Aisha Jumwa, when she started off, she still wanted to be on the podium. She still wanted to be on the camera and making, But now I think she's really settled. Can we actually applaud her for the way now she's settled?
It's her job. Why are we applauding?
No. With Kenyans, we don't appreciate somebody we only come in, it's like we wait for somebody to do wrong and then we talk about it. But when somebody does
makofi kwa TV.
So that is the problem, that we actually don't honor, we don't really reward good work. And it motivates, if the media highlighted the good work that Aisha, let's say, in her office, she has been doing, she's settled in her office, I think she would also even get more motivation, and others will now emulate. Okay. So that one we understand. It can happen again and again, but whether it is the way to go, that is no. It is not the way to go. Mm-hmm. People should stick to their mandate. Their roles are executive, and executive work is not like the politician's work. The politician can talk and say he's misquoted. For an executive, you have no room to be misquoted. That is what they should realize.
All right.
And since the president has shown us the way from the international level, from the global level, I think they will also just follow the vision holder. And everything like
I think it's the urge to be seen to be working. I think that's the crisis. So every time everybody shoots something, we found jobs in Canada. Hey, how? We've done this here. Everybody wants to be seen to be working, and this also urge to social media likes. You want to be seen to be working. Therefore, the social media, the Twitter space, you are there. That's where you want to be judged. But that's not the real work. Really, that's not the real work. These moves are very unfortunate. I think members of parliament need to ask to call these ministers to account. Really, what did CS Mutua mean in that tweet? Come to parliament and explain yourself. Why are you giving people false hope? The crisis beyond that of going to Canada, the crisis of our Kenyans who are going to Saudi Arabia and the Middle East and what they are suffering. Let him come to answer some of. I think there are many issues that the Minister of Foreign Affairs can be at the center of. The tweets again by CS Korea. Really, very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. You cannot say you can do that to a capital city of a country. You cannot say that one of Raila. I mean, this when you look at it, what other than chasing, it's called clout chasing. You want people, but you're already in that space. This is just pure madness that should not be exhibited at that level of cabinet. So there's serious work to be done. There's serious work to be done, really. And you cannot prosecute our issues in the social media space. Get down to work. And your actions will be visible. And even when you are silent, like Mheshimiwa is saying about Aisha Juma, even when she's silent, there are people who are appreciating her. So this urge to be seen to be working needs to be turned. Some level of maturity.
I agree. I think we need to draw a line between when you are a politician and when you are a public servant. And the role changes immediately. You are appointed for public service. And a politician is mandated to speak on anything in his mind because that is politics. And we don't take account of what politician says. We always take it as a political gimmick or a statement. But when you are a public servant, there are ethics governing around you in terms of how you should behave, how you should speak, and how you should act. Even your behavior among the public changes. When you go to even a restaurant, as a public servant, you are a role model for being, representative of the government in that particular aspect. When a politician is being hugged by every other person or electorate he finds, yours is slightly different. I'm not saying you shouldn't be saying hi to your people as a CS or as a PS or as a public figure, but there's a way in which you are supposed to mold yourself. Now, when senior people who have been governors, people who have been members of parliament, are given roles to become cabinet secretaries, and they can't immediately switch to that role, we have an issue. And the issue we have is that, did we make the right choice? I get back to appointment and other things. Having said that, the CS role is policy issues and ensuring that he gives out policy guidelines. Who implements it? The PS and his other teams down there. What is he supposed to say? The CS is supposed to speak only on a written document. A document, official document that has been written and crafted by technical people. He's not an expert in that ministry. He is just a leader, a representative. But the experts are the ones who make him. And if he makes use of his experts in that ministry, he will never make such a mistake. We have legal advisors. We have people who are experts in specific fields. For example, when it comes to Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they are diplomats. They are people who are specialists in that field. Not like Mutua, who is a communication guy, but there are people who have studied diplomatic issues. There are people who have studied governance. There are people who have studied law. And these are the people who are supposed to be giving him, spoon-feeding him actually, in terms of what goes out and what goes into other countries. And that's why I like Ali Makwere, the former minister. Yes, I mean, I went with him sometimes back to Brazil for a government mission when I was working for Ministry of Health. And when we went there, a politician in Kenya, when you go there, he's an orator, and he's a man who can represent a country or even a region, a continent, in his way of presenting himself and the way he has coached us. I learned a lot from him at that particular time. And a minister is supposed to be changing his roles when he's doing those days they were parliamentarians and also ministers. But he could still differentiate when he's doing his role as a government minister and when he's a politician. Now, these CSS are different. CSS are people who are purely public servants, and they should be in a position to pick that role. There's no even conflict in their mind, and they should learn how to go through. As he has put it, I think the people who coach them, and they have around a lot of advisors, I think they should employ people you are seeing here, elites you are seeing here, who can give them a very proper direction. Not necessarily. No, we are not looking for a job there. What we are just saying is there are Kenyans who are able to guide them in the right direction, and they are able to make them deliver their role so that they are proud of themselves. You know, you become very proud of yourself when the people below you shape you to what you are expected to do. So I tend to think the CSS should mute, they should do their work, and there are a lot of things they can say about their role, the job they are doing. Every other time they can guide us on the policies on that ministry, they can give us on mileages that are made within that ministry, and we will be happy. You remember the former minister for the CS for health. He was for dormant until the issue of COVID came. But when he started now, technical people started giving him a lot of information in regards to his role. Kenyans were so happy about his deliverance, isn't it? Our minds changed.
But never dismantled the cartels.
No. We are not talking. We are not auditing. I'm not saying him that he was clean. What I'm saying is he came into the limelight that when his job was, came into the TV, and he was able to speak about health issues and health matters and Kenyan what affects Kenyans as the CS for health. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. All the other things, I don't want to go into it because it's not part of
that. But maybe for Kuria, let me tell you, I mean, if you look at Kuria, at his work as a Minister of Industrial, and he's been good at it.
Right.
You can see he knows his space is very good at it. It is this outbursts in the middle of the night, and then he cancels, and then he deletes those ones. So if they can be trained to understand that at the ministerial level, we don't want to hear your personal views. for the next 5 years, for as long as you have that flag, your personal views are yours, and we should never hear them. When you speak for the government of
You see,
Kenya.
Jesse, during past regimes, we've had what is called the Uongozi. It's actually a guideline that has been developed by different stakeholders through the Kenya School of Government that is supposed to guide public servants and state officers in terms of how they engage when no one is watching and when everyone is watching. And I think probably some of our CSS might want to revisit some of these, but it still goes back to the induction process. When you first interact with your role as a cabinet secretary, yeah, what is the first thing that you do? In other countries, even phones are taken away from them. I know we've seen, for example, the president of the US, but even senators and other, people who are in very sensitive leadership positions. They don't have that privilege of even tweeting. You have to take your tweet for approval before you send it out, because it's looked. So I think that if we can be able to emphasize and probably overemphasize that when you are a cabinet secretary, you are representing the people of Kenya, both internally and outside there.
All right, gentlemen. I think it's proper to shift focus now to other matters. Apart from the editorial cartoon now. And since you've just last spoken, I want to begin with you. What exactly is happening with the counties? Because this falls under your forte. We have that the headlines pointing to a delayed disbursement of funds within 3 months. We've seen the headlines of members of county assembly threatening to shut down operations in the counties due to perhaps salary increment, return of plenary allowances. What exactly is happening with our devolved units?
Yeah, so a lot is happening, both good things and largely some of the negative things like the ones that you have mentioned.
Yeah.
And I think largely it's partly because of the state of the economy that the national government has not sent monies to county governments. And these are for many other reasons, and it also borders on the priority of county governments. Remember that we're also coming from a scenario where we have had very huge pending bills from county governments, which were largely done during the past transition. And so even at that level, service providers are waiting for them to be paid so that they can be able to continue processing their services to the county governments, because largely it is then the citizens that benefit. There are also expectations, particularly given the conversations around the finance bill, where you have tax reviews and revisions that is taking place. Largely that will boil down to the public service as well. So there is also the aspect of increment of salaries and the review of all those issues. MCAs have also threatened to stall the public processes on the budget, because there has to be a mechanism where they also appropriate for counties the budgets for them to pass. In between there, we also have the county integrated development planning processes that are ongoing, and we are seeing now a number of governors are also launching publicly. It should have been done very many around actually April, so that people go through the CIDPs for them to be able to understand the priorities of the counties and the governors, and then linking that to the budget process, which then is expected to take effect on 1st of July. Many issues also that have got to do with the failure of county governments to raise their own source revenues. Because if you look at the analysis that has been done by ourselves and other stakeholders, it's indicated that counties have a potential of about 210 billion, all the 47 counties, to raise their own source revenue. If you look at that, Jesse, we don't have to have this over-dependence on the over-reliance on the national treasury. But what counties are currently able to do is only 35 billion, which is way below the potential, both by CRA and, of course, the controller of budget and also others. So I think that if we can be able to have an engagement between national and county governments through the intergovernmental processes, whether it's IBEC that is chaired by that's the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Forum, chaired by the Deputy President, or even the summit, which is between the President and the governors, so that conversations around delayed disbursements, because that really is affecting a number of issues. But while we were in Mombasa about 2 weeks ago, the Deputy President actually was very clear with the governors. And he said that we don't have money, so we're not going to send you any monies, and don't expect it. When the president was speaking to the nation I think he rekindled my doubts about him on devolution, because I've had very serious, personally, I've had very serious reservations on His Excellency the President and his regime on protecting devolution. So we also, listening to him, I was very excited about his remarks on health, issues around roads, among other functions that are still being held by national government, and they should be fully devolved to counties. So many things are happening. Jesse, if you gave me 14 hours, I would share with you on devolution, but because it's a very limited time, it's just important to raise those highlights. But bottom line is we want to see the commitment by national government, sending monies to county governments so that they are able to do their work insofar as service delivery to the people.
Okay, and I think since you brought up what the president had to say, and whatever you're addressing is sort of linked to the state of the economy, Kasim, as you were listening to the president's address to the nation last Sunday, there are others that argue that perhaps he left more questions than answers, touching on, is it the housing fund, some of those controversial issues around the finance bill. You mentioned that it has a bag of goodies for Kenyans, even though, going by the reaction, some are laughing, they might not believe so. So kindly break down for us, even as Parliament is set to resume tomorrow, what exactly is in store for Kenyans, despite the increase in taxes in some quarters?
I think what we learn, and it's unfortunate that even at the level of Ken here, there's some basic information that he lacks. And I'm glad that I'm now also being educated. I'm not like in the 12th Parliament where I was also not accessing this information. We normally act on very limited information. There is every reason for the national government to handle roads. Why? You know, a road is not confined within a county. What would happen if I want to tarmac a road in my county, but the next county which leads to the border is not a priority to that road? It's wasted effort, isn't it? What happens when I want to, in Mombasa, I want to water, but in Mzima Springs is in Taita Taveta, which is in a different county? You know, so I think there's a lot of misconception about the county governments, that everything should be devolved. And I can tell you, if we go that direction, we are going to have a very difficult...
Because he said that he wants to correct. I didn't say that we need to devolve. The Constitution in Schedule 4 sets functions of national very clearly in county government. So no one is even confusing anything. And there is a very clear mechanism on intergovernmental issues on infrastructure. And the CSS of those particular ministries understand purely what they do with roads within counties. And we have also classes of roads, class A, class B, class C. Then you have D and E for county government. So we are very clear about it, and we are not misled.
But you see, the perception out there, sometimes one will talk about health and say, we need to devolve health completely. You know, we need policies at the national level. We cannot have doctors trained in Kwale by the Ministry of Health, the CS Health in Kwale, and have another doctor in Nyandarua. You know, this can't happen. So there is a big role for the national government for the betterment of this country to move forward, and still with the devolution working. Personally, I'm of the opinion that, najua sini watu wa majimbo, if I'm to put that one, we've not benefited historically from a centralized government. The issue of marginalization is real in this country. And this has been brought by the central government, the way it was operating. But still, there is a role for the ministries and the national government to actually do activities with it. Because a country called Kenya, there is no country called Kenya without the counties. There is no country called Kenya without the constituencies and the wards. So where are they going to work if we are saying they have no role? But now, to the question that
allow me to cut you short. Allow me to cut you short.
Because I want to come to the issue of the financial bill.
Before you get to the finance bill, we have to pay the bills here. So
take a break.
So allow us to take a short commercial break. Then we come back with the nitty-gritty details around the finance bill. Stay with us. We'll be back in a few.